Just relax.
No matter how I cry, one thing I know, there's definitely my tomorrow.
Bethany TV, full health. Bethany TV, full health.
You're welcome, viewers. Good evening. I'm your host, Moses. This is B2B, Back to Basics, a program that brings to you topics that touch our lives. And today, we have a program that talks about media in schools, the influence of media in schools. You're very much welcome to B2B. It happens every Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 p.m. on Bethany TV for health. And I'm your host, Moses. Very excited tonight because I have a guest in the studio. Edwin, you're welcome. This is Bethany TV for health, and back to basics program brings you topics that touch our lives, in our day-to-day lives of our children, parents, government, all that. We discuss them here. So you're very much welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Moses. And of course, hello to our viewers. You should expect much tonight. I'm here and my name is Edwin Twinomugisha. Usually I call myself the science doctor.
Yeah. Science doctor.
Yes, please.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you mind elaborate more on the science doctor?
Yeah.
For the viewers to
they understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Moses, I'm Edwin Twinomugisha, like I said. Yes. And of course, the science doctor is my other brand name, because I do a number of things under that very umbrella. I've done a number of teaching, of course, in relation to science. And I've done, my work is on all social media platforms.
Yes.
I have different, social media handles, and they all read the Science Doctor. And basically, I do part of education. I look at how, teachers relate closely to learners. And then I discuss a number of challenges that these learners meet during their, education journey. So I do a number of things under the umbrella, the Science Doctor. So basically, that's Edwin.
Science Doctor.
Yes, please.
Great, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure.
And this is Back to Basics on Bethany TV. We are live on GoTV and also free to air. You can also join us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Bethany Television UG, and Twitter, Bethany Television. You're very much welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight, media influence in schools. We've heard the word media. We've realized that there is quite much when it comes to media, especially in schools. Back then in our days, we used to have a blackboard. Then textbook, and they formed part of the teaching learning process.
True.
Actually, the core of the teaching learning process. For every classroom, you would need a blackboard, and that's all. But now with the advent of the internet, electronic media, we've seen these tools come, and there's a lot of multimedia techniques used in schools. And obviously, I believe they have positive and negative effects.
That's true.
But start with Edwin.
Yes, please.
From the professional point of view. Tell the viewers, what do we understand by media? What is media to start with?
Yeah, thank you very much, Moses. And of course, to all our viewers tonight, the question, like Moses is putting it right, we are looking at the media against education. And then when we talk about media, definitely we look at a number of various channels. We look at the number of platforms through which different internet messages are delivered. Currently, like you have stated it, back then, we used to have, when you talk about education, you talk about teaching and learning, then it's about school, it's about blackboards, it's about, chalk, but currently things have changed. And of course, like you said, media, currently we are now dealing so much and closely with internet. So we are looking at a number of platforms where different messages are delivered. You see, it started, from another angle, very many years, if not too close to then. Today, people used to say, if you talk about media, then you are talking about entertainment. You are talking about, drama. You are talking about, but then media has finally come into education sector, and therefore it is chasing the odd. If you moved around schools in Kampala, you will realize that some schools are now completely changing into the current media setting. And that is where perhaps the generation is heading. But then maybe going forward, we shall be able to discuss and we see to what extent has it really either negatively or positively affected the entire education system.
Thank you, Edwin.
Yes, please, Moses.
Can we identify the current media forms or current media techniques used in schools, in our Ugandan secondary schools, for example?
Yes, Moses, of course, I will not go away from Uganda. We are in Uganda and a number of things are being done, and we of course see these things, and we at sometimes we also associate ourselves with the same settings. But if I would tell you, when we say media, I want our viewers to first understand that this can either be the mass media, it can as well be social media. It depends on the way you interpret the concept. Yeah, because when you talk about the mass media, we should definitely look at the bigger, the broader, way of disseminating this kind of information. In this case, we will find there TVs, Bestana TV being one of them. Information is given now. I'm just right here in the Bestana studio, but people in Ushenya are right, they are watching me. And then if I give the right information, whether it is an adult or a student who is in Ushenya will be able to take up the same information that I've given right here. That is the mass media. Mass media in schools, of course, we have seen the newspapers. Currently, schools are working closely with the newspapers. You can't talk about, education and passing exams, and then you neglect the new, the papers. So people and very many schools want to keep following the trend. What are the questions of chemistry that are released in this paper today? What are the questions of biology, of mathematics, and other learning disciplines that are released, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and so on and so forth. So when you touch into it, you will realize that the schools have gone an extra mile to, understanding that media is here. Look, if media is here, where is our throat? Where is our part? What do we pick out of it? Should we go by, mass media, or we go social media? I think then by the end of this program tonight, we should be able to understand, maybe like the viewers who are watching us tonight, they understand if you must let your child, your student watch or have an interaction with the media, which exactly media should they, associate with? Should it be social media? Should it be mass media? And if any of the two, if not both of them, how practically should this one be managed at a certain level so that it does not leave a very serious harm, onto these students, largely students. Tonight I'm talking about students because we want to relate. Schools, of course, schools, we are there and they will be there. They shall always be there. But then at the end of it all, they are producing citizens, they are producing students whom we expect to find in different, offices tomorrow. So it means if they experience a very serious effect of the media, let it be, mass media or social media, then automatically we shall have the same effect, in these very people going forward. So to me, I think, we shall be discussing the effects and perhaps the positive contribution of media to education, but largely schools are into contact. They are greatly, in fact, some schools in this country, if you try to make some investigations, they are greatly married to media. Some of them have resorted to that. A teacher of biology will tell you, what, I must wait. I must wait for the paper to release these questions, and that will be our assessment this week. You get the point? In primary setting, they will tell you the good mathematics questions, they appear in papers. You get? So at the end of it all, these people are trying to relate what is released by the media, into the current curriculum that they are following. And at the end of it all, well, if it's about the news, maybe the papers, it could be slightly, fair. in terms of effect. But then talk about the one who will just tell you, Daddy, Mommy, I have to sit on the TV and I watch. Before you know, it's not about the program that was educative. It's not about the, the lesson that perhaps was conducted on the TV, but now it has changed. The child has gone on, because at the end of it all, children and students, they focus so much on the fun part of media. That's where my issue is tonight.
Okay, that's more elaborative, and thank you very much for that.
Yes, Moses.
You've talked of mass media and social media.
True.
And you've highlighted print media in terms of the newspapers that have some of these question samples. I would like you to identify some of other forms of media that are specific to schools, like that schools use apart from the print media, like the newspapers, if any.
Yeah, of course, Moses.
To help us set the basis of this discussion as we try to look at the impacts.
True. I think I need to be so specific on this. We have schools which have opted for smartphones and these other electronic devices. I want us to be honest. We have heard about this. In fact, I'm one of the members who has contributed to some content, production of the content onto these different platforms. The websites, there are some developed websites currently which are developed, and the content is produced, it is put on this very website, and then these students can access it, but of course using smartphones. You see, so when you choose to getting this kind of content on website, you must definitely be having an electronic gadget. You must be having a device. And currently, I think some schools are opting to that. There are schools which have gone that far to guiding parents to purchase smartphones. There are some schools which are training students in a manner that will really be portrayed at the university level, whereby students in secondary schools, they are now packing their laptops. You see, so there is an invasion of largely the electronic devices, and basically I think if we must focus our discussion tonight, we should look at the smartphones, because I'm one of the people in this country who could have contributed to developing this content. But then at the end of it all, do our students use the smartphones for learning purposes only, or otherwise? I think
that's a question for further discussion.
Exactly.
So thank you very much. You've brought it clearly about different forms of multimedia used in schools, including electronic media. We understand that education is a lifelong process that goes beyond the four walls of the classroom. In your expert view as a professional teacher, how does the use of various multimedia tools help to achieve this long-term goal of education?
Moses, when we look at the dynamics that are happening within, in fact, let me start with the curriculum. The current curriculum that we are using as guided by NCDC. You see, you realize that the way how things used to be conducted back then, perhaps, I don't know how old you are, but maybe during our age and maybe the age of those, our fathers and our grandfathers, things have not remained the same. You see, things have gone on changing, and this is, it is just nature. We have to appreciate and know that things shall never remain the same. I think even the Bible and the other books talk about this, the changes we expected to come. But then at the end of it all, you see, as we are integrating, looking at the old and then the current, looking at the curriculum, the way it has come on changing, we must still understand that we are not yet there. Basically, I think we can talk about Uganda. When you look at the rate at which we perceive whatever comes, to me, in my own opinion, I think it's still at a certain stage of trial. That yes, schools, we need to have this kind of setting. We need to appreciate the internet. We need to appreciate innovations. We need to appreciate that the curriculum is changing in a manner that pulls and calls for such kind of twists of change. That even when you are a teacher, you need to say, yes, we used to do the chalk teaching and whatnot, but then at the end of it all, this has come, we have to appreciate it. But then where I pull out my step is that when such comes, then it calls for a number of things, among which, of course, is different stakeholders coming on board. We discuss. We see if this one is directly put at the desk of learners, what will be their greatest area of interest? Will they run for the negative area? Will they run for the positive area? Will they perceive the whole idea positively, or at the end of it all? So to me, I think as teachers and as a professional teacher, it still lies within my hands that yes, we can still remain, we can become a dynamic and say we shall appreciate the changes and we actually benefit from it, but then we sit back and say these should be the limitations, these should be our parameters. We say we must not stretch up to this point. And if we set those strategies prior enough, then we shall be able to go on and guide these students accordingly. So trust me, we shall definitely benefit from the current setting. And trust me, I can't tell what the future holds. Maybe going forward, the chalk and blackboards will be no more, and you find that we have to go by this. It comes as a wave, and we all appreciate it. And therefore, if we don't start practicing it today, then maybe we shall be going wrong. So where the concept, where the whole challenge remains is on the way we are managing the changes that are coming our way.
Thank you. Dear viewers, you're watching Back to Basics, and this is Bethany TV for Health. I'm with Edwin, a professional teacher. Edwin, which subject did you mention? Oh
yeah, like of course the science doctor.
The science doctor.
Yeah, I'm in the docket of the president.
Yes, the physics and etc.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm the person of science.
I remember we used to do vernier caliper.
Exactly.
That was in senior one.
Yeah.
And micrometer screw gauge.
Yes, please.
And then the principle of Archimedes principle, something
exactly,
like that.
Archimedes principle.
Okay, I just want to narrow down our question to that. As a professional teacher of physics, currently, how does your students benefit currently from the use of different multimedia tools available to you compared to 20-30 years back when it was only chalk and blackboard?
Yeah.
If you have any specifics to make the impact come out clearly. Yeah,
thank you very much, Moses, and I think this one should really be on record. I work with Mbuya parents, which is actually too close right here.
Yes.
I want to tell you, my brother, that currently teachers are not so much stretching. I remember during my time when I was still in Osheni, you used to meet a teacher. He comes with his big books, of course, where he's going to get his notes from.
Yes.
And then this man is also having his box of chalk in the other hand, and the man starts from east part of the board. He writes notes. He ends in the west.
In the west.
By the end of the lesson, this person has used a lot of energy. This person, if there is any mistake that was made in his notes, it is the same mistake that you people must as well copy from the board and put in your books. You see, then at the end of this the lesson, the man has given you a lot of work. He cannot mark it. He cannot read through it. And at the end of it all, the assistance, the relationship between the parent, the teacher and the child used to honestly be at a certain lower level because he doesn't have enough time to do the book check. He doesn't have enough time to do ABCD. But currently, of course, like I told you, it should be on record. Mbuya Parent School, we no longer touch chalk. We are using projectors. And what will you project? Of course, it must be the content that you have already organized. Now, I want to give you another scenario. We just prepare prepare real images. They used to teach us about, I remember when we were in Osheni, they teach you about the airport. Then you start imagining, what about the airport? They tell you about aeroplanes, they tell you about ABCD, the setting at the airport, but you cannot easily connect. But currently, you use your projector, you set your work, and of course, as a professional teacher, you know how much work I must, give or uncover within this particular lesson. So before you know, these kids are viewing exactly what we are talking about. If you talked about the Vania Carpa, whatever you will mention, if it is, let's go as low as the P4 class of primary setting. You talk about germination.
Yes.
Many students grow, they grow up to the university level when they don't know how germination occurs. You get? But currently using media, of course, you will be able to get this clip. You can in fact get the clip. You project it. And these students will be able to clearly observe the part of the radical, let's go biology. The part of the radical coming out of the seed, connecting the ground, it is in the video clip being watched by the students themselves. Then they will show you the plumule coming out of the seed. They will show you the seed turning into a seedling turning into a plant. And at the end of it all, honestly, we shall have to appreciate that the current era of media, if it is used in a way, if it is used in that kind of manner, then we are here to win. We are here to win. So currently, like myself, of course, I'm not a man. Even when you see me here, I'm not a person of chalk. I will not, you could meet a teacher from a lesson, you are having chalk in the nose, in the mouth, in everywhere. You are smeared. And at the end of it all, these people could judge and say, the one who has chalk smeared on every part of the body is the best teacher. Then you wonder, what kind of judgment really are you taking up? These were the laziest people, I may just say. But currently, organize your work, assemble it very well, and let it be projected. Let learners identify these things right from the real experiences.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And thank you for bringing out clearly. You're watching Back to Basics. This is Bethany TV for Health. We are discussing media influence in schools, and Edwin, a profession teacher, science doctor, here brings this out clearly that it does not only help learners but also eases the teaching process on the side of teachers. Thank you very much for watching. We'll break shortly, and when we come, obviously we'll continue to discuss more about media in schools.
Bethany TV for Health. Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Yo TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV for Health. Every day at lunchtime, we bring you back-to-back inspirational music videos. You request your favorite gospel music video and we play it on the playlist. To request, go to our socials, Facebook, Bethany TV UG, and Twitter at Bethany TV. Like and follow, then type the name of the song in the comment section of the playlist post of the day by midday and just relax.
One thing I know, there's definitely my tomorrow.
Bethany TV for Health. Your perfect ignition for the day's inspiration prescription is on the Healthy Morning. Start your day informed about top stories, health, tech, and travel news as we give you the day's weather and traffic, business analysis, and sports updates. Healthy Morning, every weekday at 6:30 a.m. on Bethany TV. Bethany TV for Health. Win, win, win! Win a Bethany t-shirt and cap, cash and other prizes. Just answer our question of the day. Every time the presenter asks the question of the day, or when you see it, be among the first 20 people to respond on our social media platforms. Make sure you like and follow our Facebook and Twitter pages at Bethany TV Uganda. Then post the right answer in the comment section, providing the time the question was asked on Bethany TV, the program and the show presenter that asked the question. Was it on The Healthy Morning, on Be Hopeful, or the playlist? The winner of the day will be announced on the Sunset Lounge at 5 p.m. every weekday. Watch Bethany TV and win big.
Olugendo lw'okuwona lulabisibwa mu ngeri ez'enjawulo. Abantu abamu bwe tubalaba nga bakola emirimu gyabwe tulowooza nti bali bulungi, so nga abamu bakomye ku mugo gwa ntaana ate nga abalala bameggana na bulumi bwa kumira ddagala. Ekyebuuzibwa kiri nti, how did they do it? Their stories are hope-giving, and because they did it, everyone else can't do it. Catch different people as they share their stories with me, Winnie Mbabazi, on the Be Hopeful show, here Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. on Bethany TV for Health.
Bethany TV for Health.
Back to basics. Welcome back from that short break, and we are discussing media influence in schools. And we have Edwin, who is a professional teacher, taking us through discussing some of the aspects and milestones as far as media is concerned in relation to teaching learning process. Edwin, for the break, clearly brought out how media is easing the teaching learning process on both sides, the learners and the teachers. And in the break, we kind of shared about experience in COVID. We all remember that in COVID times, in those emergencies when schools were closed and somehow learning had to continue, even those who never used to appreciate media had to come out and appreciate media. I just want to ask Edwin in just 1 or 2 minutes to share with us the experience and how media helped in those tough times that we experienced.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Moses. And of course, I will use my own experience. In this case, I will use my own experience.
Yes.
Meaning, of course, you know, when COVID came, many of us didn't really understand that COVID was to stay for 2 or 3 or all that long. Many of us did not realize that COVID was taking as the long period like it took. We thought it was just about 1 week, about 2 weeks, and then it's done. But then, of course, after a certain period of time, of course, it was, it started with like 1 week lockdown, then we went into that, then a month, then 2 months, then the period kept on, growing. So it is up to that time when the different schools were stuck on what to do next. Because of course you could now look at the schools. You must always understand that the school is always seen as an educational institution, but then at the same time it is also seen as a business entity. So people were stuck. Of course, businesses were dying, then students were growing, they are not studying. So we came up with a strategy, and of course I was one of them. I started working with Star TV by then. I worked with a number of media houses here. We started conducting audiovisual lessons. You go to TV. Of course, it was a new experience. It was a new experience to both teachers and, of course, for those few teachers who participated, and then the students themselves. You are used of writing on board and and then copying notes by learners and whatnot. But this time around, you are a student. You have to keep home in your sitting room. And then you still take the same notes, you still do the same exercise, and then you are also a teacher. I remember the very first time I made my first presentation on TV. You are before the camera, you are used of teaching, students, live students, but this time around you are before the camera and you start. Today's topic is, and then you start explaining the concept. you are teaching students you are not seeing. That was quite strange. Sometimes you just want to pose a question, but then which question, whom are you going to ask? It was quite challenging. But then, during the first lessons, it appeared as if it was, something that can, be done or not done, or like a by the way. But going forward, David and other parents realized that all their students had to sit home. Those who had their TVs with no subscription, they started paying. They started calling me. Edwin, at what time will you be online? Will you be on today? Then you start sharing your program. You start sharing your timetable, so that students can sit and wait for the science doctor to capture some content. And to my side also, it was equally very challenging. Of course, life was not all that easy. Teachers, we are quite. If you met a teacher who is passionate about their work, you always want to teach and mention someone's name. You say, yes, John, are we together here? Do you have any question here? But it wasn't the case. Then you give your explanation. You imagine that students are really understanding. And then on some other, televisions, of course, there are other TV stations. We started asking for our content. Yeah, I started recording content. I could record, we sent to TV West. We send to different, media houses, and then the same content is aired out, and then students, you are also home. I'm also home, but watching myself teaching students. Quite strange, but people didn't know that was really coming their way. But finally, it happened, and indeed, it was an experience. I want to tell you that today we appreciate the experience that we went through. Of course, when you look at, how we conducted it, at the end of it all, there were also some other schools which were conducting Zoom lessons. By then, I was also still at campus doing my course. I also started, joining those Zoom classes. Those who could manage to attend TVs, they did. Those who were able to, develop content, and they put it on websites, they did, and the content was really, aired out. I mean, the content was, accessed by different people. So it was an experience that people never imagined before, but finally it came. Finally it came. So to me, that is where actually I base on that evidence, I base on that empirical evidence, because it came. Suddenly we didn't see it come, and actually we don't know even how it ended, because it was by God's grace to hear that, tomorrow schools are going to open, So you can't tell. That was a wave that came, and you can't tell what tomorrow holds. So to me, I think we should now be learning from such kind of experiences and say, yeah, okay, you see, last time this happened, schools were down for close to 2 years, if not even 2 years plus. These innovations came and assisted students. I want to actually bring it to your attention that when schools resumed, my friend, those students who had, attended our lessons, those virtual lessons, they were promoted to other classes. And in fact, on merit. Because there was that government directive that students should cross over from this class to another class, but eventually it happened that some students had covered the same content that they thought it would be covered in a bridged curriculum ahead in other classes. Yeah, so these people studied, and to me, we should use that particular experience to now start such kind of innovations, so that we don't wait for only calamities to come and then we start gambling here and there. We could now monitor the media exactly, and then we start moving on, so that we set a trend. Tomorrow the same thing may come or may not come, but it should find us somewhere
when we are prepared.
Yeah, surely.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Edwin. Acknowledging all the benefits and importance and advantages, the use of multimedia, different multimedia tools, call it mass media and social media, in teaching, learning process. What are some of the negative effects this has brought in schools or in the teaching, learning process?
Yeah, Moses, this is actually very clear. They always say charity begins at home. Of course, I don't want to stick so much onto that, but I want to relate the concept. There is a point at which parents have gone wrong. There is a point at which adults have gone wrong. And I want to tell you that, it is on the same point where our students are also going wrong. You see? So during those days, we used not to we could hear about things, like getting these nudes and maybe dirty videos and whatnot, we could hear them and feel like it's not part of our life. In fact, Africans, I think we do not believe in that. We could feel like those are the lifestyles that are lived by people perhaps we don't understand. Little did we know that time will come, the same people, our own people here, will do the same things that we used to hear about, actually even not watching. We used to hear about. And the moment you do, there are different sayings in English and in different languages. You see, there is what you will do as an adult. A little one or a student sees you, and at the end of it all, of course, they will start monitoring. And in most cases, we tell them, I'm doing this, don't do it. Come on. Then you are piling fixation at some stage. This must come to their way. And then before you know, these students are doing the same, vices. So I think negatively, the media has, brought a number of issues, including cyberbullying. Students bully their own peers. Someone gets a phone because, some parents now can afford to purchase these smartphones to their children. So a child gets a phone, and out of depression or basing on any factors we can't tell now, they start bullying peers, their fellows. And before you know, someone suffers from depression, anxiety. This person is out of senses simply because the whole root cause is generated from the media. Then the other point, of course, there is a lot of miscommunication. You communicate this, another communication has already passed on. It is also very common in schools. Before you bring the official school communication, students have already wired themselves another communication. You know what? There is some rumor
that we shall not have meat this Saturday.
Perfect. In fact, that's exactly what I wanted to bring. That our normal meal for Saturday has been changed, and then our meat has been replaced with G-nuts. You see, before you know, you are at home, you are the head teacher of a certain school, you are sleeping, but if the school is on fire, the information is everywhere. So there is that kind of miscommunication. And then there is also an area where students have also become unruly. You can't easily manage, you can't tame them, because what you want to tell them is what they already know. You see, in most cases you think you can manage these students by maybe getting them bend down, kneel down, do this, but they have already advanced techniques of dodging that, because social media is training different aspects. Because these are students who are so much interested in different elements of media. You will think that when he's having a phone, he's maybe making research, is maybe only watching, the film that you think he likes most. But these students, they have taken an extra mile to checking for the things that we even don't know, some of us. Maybe some of them could be, the technical ways of managing some of the gadgets, including guns. A child can learn now how to operate a gun using media. You see, so when you consider all this, of course, among very many others, negative effects, you realize that really they are becoming many, because currently students are wasting time. Time wastage, we can't rule it out. In fact, there are students, if he's having his phone, he would rather miss meals. He would rather, miss on lessons. But the phone is the father, is the mother, is the meal, is everything. And that is where I think maybe as adults and teachers we need to come in. And we guide these children. And it's, our guidance must be quite parental. You must be very, very clear, and you understand the age and the stage. Because if you come so harsh and you want to, from today, stop using the phone, you are causing more harm than good. Please, I told you, you have failed to manage. And in fact, there are these rules which are set by parents currently. I told you to do this, you refused to do this. You refused and did this. Now, I withdraw my phone. Then you are causing problems. You are not, you are not using an experience to solve a problem. But instead, you are now igniting another danger that you don't know. Before you know, well, he will come down for now because perhaps you are there, you are the superior. But at the end of it all, this child will look for possible ways. In fact, we have had students who are buying themselves these smartphones. You withdraw one, he buys another one. And he will still use your own money. So at the end of it all, the negative effects of media are also quite, a number of them. Because you will realize that if it's not properly managed, and by who anyway? By, of course, you, the parent watching me tonight, and the teacher who is right there. Because I believe that tonight, Bethany is reaching in different parts of this country. I believe that teachers and parents, you are watching this program tonight. Therefore, let's appreciate Bethany for bringing such kind of an opportunity to let us understand that media has come, media is here, media is not leaving Uganda and the world today or tomorrow. But then we have that extra responsibility of training, setting of family rules and regulations. The country has got, the government has got its own part of setting the legal parameters so that the content which is shared on these different platforms is greatly benefiting either the adult or the young ones, of course the students. And therefore you and I, we have that responsibility to train these students on how properly they can use the gadgets so that they can greatly benefit from them, other than, of course, experiencing the other effects that I will be sharing with you.
Thank you very much for that caution and for bringing it to the attention of the stakeholders, including parents. Just still on that, looking at the negative effects, obviously they are enormous and the effects might be bad, like you've mentioned, ranging from indiscipline cases and the misinformation and other negative effects. As a classroom teacher professionally and then as a school, which is an institution that nurtures these students, what are some of the ways that can be adopted to mitigate the negative effects of media, specifically social media and the internet?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Moses. This is actually quite tricky. Basing on the nature of the nature under which we are raising our students. We have those who are raised in urban setting where the parents are failing completely to manage their movements and maybe the use of these gadgets. But as a school, Moses, I think as schools we need to really be strict on this. For example, schools, we know why students must use phones. If at all they must use them anyway. We know how and why they should use laptops, if at all it's inevitable. We know what kind of content. To me, I think it's basically about knowing what kind of content these students should access. You see, I understand it is sometimes quite tricky, most especially with schools managing students from accessing that and this. But at the end of it all, when you accept to bring this kind of innovation in your school, you should as well go an extra mile. You make a step ahead of these students. Learn more of how you can, juggle around with technology. So that if it is in a school, there is that content which can only be accessed by students. And that one is very possible. Yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, you set this work and we shall only go to the computer lab to access this content. We shall, because I don't want to really confuse the concept by saying schools should not allow students to have phones or parents allow stop students from having phones, because at the end of it all,
just if I'm to interject, the disallowing may be hard, but I just want to find out from you, are there rules and regulations governing the use of different electronic media, if at all the school is allowing them to have like phones or laptops or the internet, something like the way we used to have set rules, maybe at 8 the dormitories are locked and everyone should be in prep for classes, and if you're found in the dorm past that time, it's an indiscipline case. Do we have specific rules, or it's now media has come, it's their right, and therefore they have phones everywhere, in the playground, if they're in class it's not controlled? Do we have like a set of rules and regulations that schools like set and they must be followed?
Moses, absolutely. Absolutely. You see, you can't now appreciate media and you simply leave it, really open. If you do that one, then you are an enemy of progress. In fact, if you made the accessibility for these gadgets open, then honestly you are against the generation that is really coming.
Yeah, surely.
So to me, I think as a school, setting regulations, honestly, it's quite significant. We must have it, and indeed that's what schools are doing.
That's what they're doing.
Of course, like if you talked about Mbuya parents, of course, there are schools where we shall say no. Honestly, for now, a phone no. Honestly, for now, you will only use the computer gadgets. The school gadgets, which are basically the computers. Okay. And you will only access the computer laboratory basically to handle the content which has been prepared by the instructor. Therefore, in schools where there are students accessing phones, or they are allowed to go with their phones, there must definitely be really some legal framework within the school, internal legal framework. It should be there, so that a student knows, one, when you are found with a phone in the dormitory, then automatically you must be doing something wrong. Finding you with the phone in the dormitory is illegal, and therefore you can be subjected to ABCD. There is a penalty. Finding you with the phone when you are doing something contrary to what is supposed to be done, then there is a penalty. You will be subjected to a certain penalty. You see, using a phone past this time, that if you must have your phones at school, then you will use them between this time and this time. And there must be an instructor. That is also something very important. And in fact, for schools which would wish to opt to this is also another piece of advice I will give. Don't simply say students are here, internet is here, media is here, let everyone access what they can. That's where we shall go wrong. And before we may start with the positivity, the positive part of media, but then we may incur the very serious negative part of it, which may just really be very serious. So to me, I think if you decide to let students use phones at school based on the way you have prepared your content, there should be a certain mechanism. In fact, one of the strategies is to have an instructor, to have that technical person who will handle this. This technical person will help the school, Moses, to really guide and say, you know what, if these students go beyond this, I will do this, they will be disconnected.
Sure.
In fact, you can say, let them have phones, but the phones should not have lines. You see? That can as well be the strategy. Come with your smartphone, you see, but the smartphone should not be having a SIM card.
Okay.
So which means all these gadgets will be connected to a certain Wi-Fi. They are connected to internet. So it means that this instructor will say between now and this, internet is on. Between this time and this time, internet is off. You get the point? There can as well be a certain strategy of having a correction center. You have used the gadget fine for this particular lesson or for this particular session. Please hand over your gadget. Let them be controlled. They are your gadgets, but you will use them when it's really
perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
I just want to now look at a life and the technical know-how of the teacher, of the current teacher. When you look back, you'd find a quite number of teachers who are qualified teachers maybe didn't have a chance of experiencing multimedia in schools, like use of different media, electronic media, the internet, computer, and all that stuff. And now here, this is the teacher who must kind of adopt and fit in, to live along this student who is born in this generation where there's advent of media. What are some of the challenges the teachers face in adopting to having multimedia technology in schools?
Yeah, true, Moses. In fact, it is becoming a very serious challenge.
Yes.
Because remember, teachers, they were not born teachers. They were also trained.
Yes.
We should remember that.
Yes.
They are also trained. So it means if there is an area where they were not trained, now, appreciating and welcoming the idea needs another training. In fact, this training, some, of course, teachers were equally different. Some other teachers, it may need a period equivalent to the period they spent in schools.
Sure.
That is also another very serious challenge that is really happening. So before you know, this is the teacher, maybe the school, they say, we are recruiting you, we are giving you a teaching post, but then you should have this skill. So in maneuvering to have a skill, you are not also able to control some of these students because they are more experts than you are. You know, before you know, you can't easily use internet to interpret some content so that you can assemble it into, you know, these teachable units that you can, which are quite elaborative. So it is really a challenge, and a challenge. I think it has something to do with training. But of course, training, which may not be so easy, it may be just a gradual training. Because if we say teachers first withdraw now from teaching, we give them about 2 years to go and train in this area, then automatically it will hinder the progress of academic achievements. But then at the end of it all, it's just a matter of teachers. Because if you are doing something with interest, you will love it, you will like it, and you will do it so fast. So to me, I think let the teachers out there, and basically maybe the teachers watching me tonight, we appreciate what has come. And we don't need to waste time to wait for any other second, but we need to step in. We train, we manage these skills, and then we get back and train the same students.
Perfect. Do you think, as schools, having initiatives to help teachers retool or upskill in connection or in regard to use of different media platforms?
Yeah.
Do you have any information on that?
Yes. I have had schools which have called, you know, for refresher courses. I mean trainings. I have had schools which, you know, conduct these trainings regularly, like every, you know, during the holidays, because these are the schools which have appreciated the innovation, which have appreciated that this has come and it has come to stay, and maybe they are preparing even for something else that will even come with time. So yeah, schools are giving a very great assist. Okay. They are honestly, you know, training teachers. Very many schools have installed, you know, these gadgets. Like Mbuya Parents, we have Wi-Fi connected in every corner of the school, and this is just free Wi-Fi. As long as you are part of the teaching staff, you access the internet, and you immediately, you know, of course, you are taken through the basics. For example, you must know how to use your laptop to prepare content that you will, of course, project. You are taken through different segments to see how these different, you know, teachable units are well, you know, put right. And beyond that, you are also taken through some of the technical areas. So in case you get a question from your students, will you be able to defend, or you are the teacher who will raise up your hands and say, honestly, here I can't. The schools are appreciating the innovation, and they are taking an initiative to really support teachers so that they can acquire the same skills that they will use in classes.
No, that's then very good if there's such support. Yes, Edwin, thank you very much. Dear viewers, we are still discussing media in schools, and I'm with Edwin, who is a professional teacher. We've really looked at the importance of media, and we all agree it's very, very, very important. But between me and you, we know that schools, not all these media techniques and media tools are in all schools. There might be some challenges and limitations. In just 1 or 2 minutes, Edwin, can you highlight some of the limitations schools face in the face of media advancement? Oh yeah,
sure. Thank you, Moses. I think this is where, you know, another big challenge is, because very many schools would wish really to tap into this. This is an opportunity that has come, but really they are not accessing the services simply because, of course, we shall talk about electricity. So when we talk about education and schools, we talk about the whole country.
Yes.
But it is not very practical and realistic that all districts in this country, for example, have electricity. Well, if they all have electricity, it's not very practical that different schools in those remote areas, they have electricity. And yet, of course, you will not talk about media and you withdraw internet. And the internet needs electricity. You will not talk about media and then you withdraw, the charging gadgets and whatnot. So at the end of it all, these teachers would wish as well to have this kind of experience, but they are limited by this issue of electricity. They are not accessing electricity. Deep down in different areas of this country, they have no electricity, and yet it is urgently needed for these gadgets to be operated. That's one. Number two, like we earlier on said, there is still a problem of attitude. It is also another serious limitation that even when you say, you people, you have electricity, gadgets are even donated. These people will tell you, no. You have brought another, element in education, which is going to really distance us from our old norms. People still believe in the traditional setting of teaching, which is very, very, very unfortunate. So at the end of it all, you are fighting with attitude, and attitude is a very great enemy, most especially in any kind of innovation, because we will push it so hard, they will bounce it so hard. You get the point? Then the other area, maybe where I find it so serious, is that we are failing to balance. People are having, like these students, they come to schools with their own interests, and then they find schools having their own interests. Some proprietors of these schools have got their own interests. Maybe someone has been, promised to get these, laptops and whatnot, or computers, and pushes it so hard without actually, skipping some stages of training and whatnot. Before students are saying, I came here specifically to handle the part of physics and mathematics and this, so I don't need this. So there is a need to really take this information to different parts of the country so that people can appreciate the innovation.
Thank you very much. Interesting discussions around media. I know we can talk and talk and talk because it is what it is. So thank you very much, Edwin. Our time is well spent. Maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, I can give just a few seconds, parting shots to the viewers.
Okay, thank you very much, our great viewers. It has been really a very great one, of course, at Bethany TV tonight. For my case, of course, it has been another golden opportunity. I just can never take this one for granted. And of course, my good friends of Mbuya Parents, whom I know you are there watching, thank you very much. My people in Ushenyi, of course, I alerted some friends whom I believe they are really watching. I just thank you very much for the love. And then to all of us viewers, my all different media handles, of course, I talk about my YouTube channel, The Science Doctor. Please go and check out my content, watch it right there, and then of course remember to subscribe and do other sorts of stuff. And of course, as I leave out tonight, I welcome you to Mbuya Parents School tomorrow, as we shall be celebrating the African Child Day. Of course, we shall be right there. We shall move around the Mbuya area. Those members who are within, come and join the team. We do the matching. You see the good fruits that we have really put in children. Alongside Moses, I have put up a very good program of character and integrity development, which is running across, and I believe people will enjoy it. Very soon I will be launching this book.
Thank you very much for your work, and thank you for visiting. Thank you for allowing and coming and being a host. And we talk about media influence in schools. Very, very important. Thank you, Edwin. You're watching Bethany TV for Health, and this is Back to Basics. I'm your host, Moses. Remember, follow us on Twitter, Bethany TV, and Facebook, Bethany Television UG. Also, we are always live on GoTV and free to air. B2B always happens Monday to Friday, 10 to 11. Don't forget to tune in and watch these topics that touch our lives. Thank you very much, viewers. Have a very, very blessed night.